Hi everybody, Dave here from Dave Tries to Fix Stuff, channel dedicated to the repair, restoration, and resurrection of broken stuff. In today's episode we're going to be checking out this Sound Project's amplifier. Sound Project's made by a company called LectroLab. This is considered a quote-unquote vintage amplifier because it should be, I believe this is from the 60's, if I'm not mistaken, and we will verify that when we start looking at all the stuff on the inside. It is a Model R203, which is a series filament amp. This one is a little bit unique though in that most series filament amps were made as such so that they did not have to have a power supply or a power transformer. Simply because power transformers made it a lot more expensive to produce these amps, and they were meant to be produced very cheaply. But this one does actually have a power transformer that is just for the B+, the high tension voltage on here, which I want to say I think is output at around 200 volts. We'll verify that on the schematic. But the series or the heaters on it are in series, many series filament amps you find out there. It has a 35 volt rectifier, a 50 volt power tube, and a 12 volt preamp tube, and then a nice high wattage resistor in series with that to kind of eat up the rest of the voltage there so that it doesn't blow anything out. But this particular one is making some noise when you turn it on, and we are going to service it and hopefully get it back out pretty quickly and easily. So if that sounds like something you want to pay attention to and hopefully learn a little bit something, like I'm sure I will, stick around and we will get that done. Alright, like I said, this is a Sound Project's, like you can see right here, Sound Project's amplifier, model R203. It's got volume with the on-off switch on that, tone control. It's got 3 inputs, which when we look at the schematic, we'll see if there's any difference between those. I'm thinking that like most amps like this that were made back in the 60s and early 70s and all that, there's really not much of a difference between these 3. And because of that, there is a possibility that I might actually remove the third jack here and replace that with a light, a pilot light, so you know when this thing is on and off. Which pilot lights are not huge, but they definitely are something that are nice to have around, so you can kind of tell when the thing is on. So the amp is actually in pretty decent shape. I'm not even going to say decent, it's in really good shape. It looks like there was something, I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera, but there's little drips of stuff that have fallen on this grow cloth over the years. It's also gotten on the knobs here, so all that stuff's going to have to be cleaned off. I don't know I think I might be pulling the baffle off and pulling the speaker out and seeing if I can actually clean this up a little bit. Around the sides, you can see it's got a little bit of drippy drip on here as well. The handle's in excellent shape. I don't know if this is probably an aftermarket handle, I'm guessing, but it does appear to be in pretty decent shape. There's a little bit of cracking on the Tolex, but nothing that can't be easily fixed. Then on this side, it's got the same drippy drip around the back, or on the side, I mean. On the back, we've got a full guy right here. Not very much for ventilation there. I mean, you've got the thing down at the bottom, but the tubes are going to be up inside. So I think what we'll do is we'll actually we'll take that off, and I may think about maybe cutting a little vent in this thing. So, but let's get the back off and see what it looks like on the inside. Actually, before we get the back off, I'm going to go ahead and I have this thing plugged in. I'm going to turn it on just so I can kind of get a record of what it's doing. Let's get it turned on real quick. I just turned it on. I have the volume's down all the way, obviously. We'll center out the tone. Give the tubes a chance to heat up. So you can hear that. It's a hum, normal, I think it's a 60 cycle hum that I'm hearing there, which is kind of telling me that the capacitors and the filter capacitors are bad, so that's probably going to have to be changed. I'll turn it up here, and you'll hear, I don't know if it's going to show up well or come out well on the videotape, but you're going to be able to hear that the hum gets louder. So I don't know if that is coming through or not, but it is getting louder. So that's telling me that there's signal going through it just fine, which is good. We're probably going to have to change out the coupling caps. I would be surprised if I don't. In fact, I just am going to change them out. But it tells me that it's just something, the electrolytics have to be changed out. So I just wanted to get that done on record of showing what's wrong with it. So, well, now we have the back off here. We can get a decent look at the speaker and the various components in here. The speaker's got a code. Not sure if I can get that to focus in or not. Kind of hard to read there anyway. It's at K11J84 and then 188. That's an interesting set of numbers. I'm going to have to look that up to see what all that is. But you can see we've got our three tubes right here. We've got a 35W4 in the rectifier position, a 50C5 in the power, and a 12AU6 in the preamp position. And it looks like they even have a little guy right here for something else, for another tube that they never got used. I imagine they probably used the same chassis in different models of amplifier, and they probably had one that was either I'd imagine they probably put another preamp type tube in there and used it as a tremolo circuit. So, but looking at this, I mean, goodness, that guy right there is a nice thick resistor. That's what that looks like an old cement resistor or something. But we've got all kinds of good looking components in here. So I'm going to guess that this stuff's going to have to be changed out. This is the electrolytic capacitor here. That's definitely going to have to be changed out. I think that's the source of all of our hum. So let me get the chassis out and we can get a better look at everything. Okay. So what do we got in here? All kinds of fun stuff. You know, I'm going to end up having to get some corrosion down in there, it looks like. I need to clean this up a little bit. You know, actually, I can see here, I've got, I'm going to have to take this out. Let me take the chassis out. Alright, looking in here, there's obviously been critters in here. You can see down here it's got all kinds of fun little gunk that's going to have to get cleaned up somehow. Down this side too, it's all going all through here, so yuck. But I can see we've got it looks like they're even kind of chewing at that thing right there on the tip. Right there. So let's see if I can get this to focus better. There we go. You can see right there on the tip of that they were kind of chewing on it, but this is going to have to get replaced anyway, so I'm not real concerned with it. I'm going to have to figure out what all this is down here, and let me take a look at the schematic.
So on this one, obviously black is common. Blue is going to be 20 microfarads at 25 volts. Yellow is 30 microfarads at 150, and red is 50 microfarads at 150. So we got 3 of them we're going to have to replace there. And we'll keep track of them with by using the leads that are already on there. I'm going to have to get a reading on a couple of these things and make sure that I got the right stuff going on these too. So, all right, we'll be back. So, like I showed earlier, I got this thing removed here, and I started putting this together, which is, are the values I need to replace this guy right here. Just kind of bundle them together like this, and I figured I can get them fit in here, which won't be a problem. The only thing is I have to get some shrink tubing to put over these things, and I realized I took my shrink tubing over to my father's house to help him with installing a stereo in his classic truck that he's rebuilding. So I don't have any shrink tubing, and I'm not going to be able to put these in just yet. So I'm going to have to go pick that stuff up, come back. I am looking at these things, comparing these all to what I'm seeing in the schematic, and most of these things, like this guy right here, let's see, bear with me for a second. So this guy right here is this 40.0047 that's going to the tone control, and that's coming right off of the anode for the 12AU6, so that's definitely going to have had some decent voltage applied to it, as will both of these. So I'm going to suspect that these 3 are going to have to be replaced, as will this 0.047U right here that's coming off of pin 6 of that, which that is this guy right here, and then these are the other 2 along with this one that are on the direct signal line. So those are going to have to be taken out and replaced. Basically all 4 of these are going to have to be replaced. Actually, I'm sorry, it's these 3 here, this guy, which has obviously been replaced at some point in the past, but it's been in there, from the looks of it, it's probably been in there for a while, so I want to replace it anyway. This one right here is actually the death cap, and since I'm going to be putting in I'm going to remove this 2 lead power plug and put in a 3-prong, that thing can just come out, so that's going to be coming out. So after I go get the stuff I need for this, I will probably, in the meanwhile, before I'm able to put those back in, I'll probably remove all these right now and replace those 4 with newer polyester caps, and then just take that guy out of the equation completely. So I will do that, and I will go get my shrink tubing, and hopefully I can get this thing sewn back up by the end of the day. So stick around. Alrighty, well, we got everything pretty well changed out in here. We've got our electrolytics right here with the 50, it's a 47 microfarad I have right on top here. Sorry, bad camera work. I got a 47 microfarad here to take place of a 50 microfarad that was on the original cap. I went down to a 22 from a 30, only because I think in this particular circuit, a 22 will do the job fine. If it ends up being a problem, I can always put another one in there, a larger value in there. But I think for what I've got going on, it should filter just fine. There's not really a whole lot of anything going through here as far as high voltage and all that, and it's a short run, so I think that'll be fine. But I got that in there. This high wattage resistor was working just fine, so I didn't change that out. Again, here are all the, back that out a little bit. Here are the capacitors here, and this guy right here that I got changed out. I also changed out the ceramic with the mica up here. Here's all the fallen soldiers from this thing. So I also added the 3-prong cord. I took out the third input because they were all exactly the same. I just bent it down like this just to get it out of the way. I didn't want to take it out of circuit. And the light, all I did was just I put a little extension wire on it, put it over here to the hot, and the other end to the other side of the switch, so when the switch comes on, that will light up with 120 volts. It's in parallel with everything else that's in here, and it should be almost no draw current-wise, so it's not going to hurt anything. Just a little neon bulb. I thought about possibly running the wires underneath all this stuff, but I don't know. I figured leaving them up here is not going to be that big of a deal. But anyway, so now there's a light on there. I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect the hole to be quite so scratched up. I don't know, maybe I should have expected that after looking at the screw holes on here, but I mean, it's not horrible. And again, it's completely reversible, so if it ends up really bothering me, I can always put the original. I just cut it out of there and put the third input jack back in there. But anyway, I'm going to get it hooked up to a load, bring it up on the Variac back there, which my little digital readout that I replaced it with, the glue on there gave out. It really wasn't really sticking to much but the outer case, so that needs to be a project pretty soon too, is to re-glue that back on there so it's on there sturdy. But you know, I've got this thing plugged into it, so I'll get a load on here, get this turned back on, and kind of bring it up slowly to burn in these caps slowly, and hopefully it'll help prolong their lives. So I'm going to do that for a little bit, and I will be back. Alright, I got everything back in here, button back up, everything put in. You know, I never did really date this thing. I mean, looking at this speaker, it doesn't even, the numbers that are on it, there aren't any numbers around the edges of it, which is where you normally would find them on something like that. Well, they also show up on the magnet cover like that. But I don't see anything that usually fits the type of code that you would see in on a speaker like this. You know, it's got usually the last three numbers are going to be the date code, which it would be, you know, the first of the last three numbers. The first number would be the year, and then the second number and third number would be the month. I'm sorry, the week in which it was made. So if you saw, say, you know, like an 8/25, it would be the 25th week of 1968 or 58 or whenever it was made. But none of this fits that style. I'm wondering if the last three numbers there are the 188, because this is I think this is probably a very generic speaker. I'm wondering if maybe the 188, if it is a date code at all, if they've got them backwards, so it'd be the 18th week of 1968. Because I think 68 would probably fit this the pretty well with the year that this was probably made. But I don't know. I was thinking about, you know, doing a dissipation on this thing to find out how many watts it was putting out, but I'm not really worried about that. It's such a low wattage amp. And I don't think this thing, I didn't, you know, mod this thing in any way, so I'm thinking that it's going to be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and put the back on, and we'll turn it on and see what we hear, and see if it actually sounds decent. So. Alright, so we got the back cover on, everything's in there. Still could probably use a little bit of a cleaning. There's a couple of spots here. You can see still a couple of spots here where it's got a rip. I don't know how well that's going to show up in the light there, you can kind of see it. it's got a rip right there, but it's not peeling away. I don't know, I might put a little bit of contact cement on that, a real light amount, plus fix that guy up, you know, the little things right here. I was thinking about I really was toying with the idea of taking the grill cloth off just to clean it, because it's got some garbage going down the front here, and then when I put it back on, using that hair dryer method I've seen to try and flatten it out, because it's got a little bit of a wave in front of the speaker, but I don't know if that's going to be worth it. I mean, it's kind of a little bit of the appeal of this thing. I mean, cleaning it up is one thing, but really starting to go after it, I don't know if it's really going to be worth the effort. Still got a little bit of gobbledygook on this thing. I picked most of it off of there, but all in all, it's not too bad. Pilot light that I added. What are you gonna do? This thing is got some scratches in the powder coat on it from where the original nut was for this thing, but adds to the charm, if you ask me. So, alright, we'll plug it in and see what it sounds like. I don't know if you can hear that. It's got a little bit of a hum to it. Here. That's not really affecting it, so it's not that. It might just be that hum of the circuit. Turn it up. Maybe it does have a little bit of hum there. It's really low. You can barely hear it, but and there's the circuit hum that you can hear. I got my Frankencaster. It's not very loud, obviously, but I'm not expecting it to be that loud because it's this is maybe a 1.5 or 2.5 watts, I think, is what this thing's supposed to put out. And that's cranked right there. Let's turn this all the way down. Yeah, I can. Tone control works just fine. Got a little bit of a old school vibe to it. Probably need a tune. I say honestly, I'm digging that light. I think that light really adds to the character of it. I'm glad I did that. I wasn't sure if I was going to be happy with that. I mean, I'm not happy with the scratches around it, but I think it looks pretty cool just having that light on there so you know that it's turned on. So. So I'm wondering, I don't think that should really affect the. Let's try something real quick. Because I have this plugged into my variac. I'm going to take it down to about 100 volts. See if that gives you the Eddie Van Halen. No. Actually, it does kind of warms up the tone a little bit. I'm not sure what you're going to hear on that crappy microphone, but it does kind of, I mean, I was wondering if it would give you a little bit more crunch, which it may be just a touch, but it kind of warmed up the sound. So you've got that compared to that. So, I mean, definitely gets a little more volume when it's up where it's supposed to be voltage-wise, but this is a little bit sharper of a sound. Where when I turn it down a little bit, it's got a little more of just a little bit warmer of a tone. This guitar's out of tune. Alright, well anyway, you get the gist of it. It's fixed. It had a lot of hum to it before. It's a lot of 60 cycle hum. I'm going to need to finish cleaning this up, which I can do this afternoon and fix these little things. But this guy's pretty much ready to put back out on eBay. If anybody is interested, it'll probably be on there by the end of the week. But it's funny I'm saying that. This is only my 4th video, and I would have to say that it's more than likely that by the time anybody even sees this video, this thing's probably already going to be sold. But just in case, it's going on eBay, and hopefully everybody will like it. But that is our episode. I want to thank everybody for watching, all 4 of you. Maybe in a couple of years I'll have a better viewership, and you guys might check this video out, like looking at all my old stuff, and hopefully my videos will be getting better. I'll do everything I can to continue to make them as entertaining as possible. As far as if watching somebody try to fix shit is entertaining, then great, it'll be right up your alley. But I've got a few other items that I've got 100 different projects that I'm trying to finish. So I will be working on those over the course of the coming weeks and months, and recording all that stuff. And hopefully you guys will be around to watch them. Thanks for joining me, and we will see you next time.